At 0743, the snow had already erased the edges of Harlan Ridge Air Base. Winds pulled hard from the north, dragging white sheets across the tarmac like ghostly curtains. Visibility sat at less than 70 feet. Ground crews worked without chatter, heads tucked low, their uniforms coated in frost that never had time to melt. She stood outside the perimeter fence. A woman, small, motionless, the kind of stillness that invited discomfort. Not the stillness of waiting, the stillness of calculation. Her boots were half buried in snow like she'd been there for hours. Military parka, mid-gray, sleeves frayed at the cuffs, canvas backpack at her feet, one strap dusted white. She wore glasses. The lenses fogged over every few seconds from her breath, then cleared. Repeat. No one asked who she was. No one told her to move. Inside the gatehouse, the guard hadn't even logged her name. She'd shown a card, laminated, faded, a USAF ID with a rank and photo that didn't match protocol anymore. He'd looked at it, tilted his head, checked the date. Expired. 3 years. He told her to wait, then walked away. A maintenance team pushed past her now, dragging a de-icing hose toward a grounded FA-18F. One of them glanced at her coat. Nothing more. She didn't react, didn't shift her feet. Her head tilted upward, tracking a dark patch in the sky. Inside the ops center, tension curled through the room. Bravo 6 had missed 2 scheduled checks. Their last ping came 37 minutes ago from Grid Victor 7, a canyon basin near the southern range. Too deep for current comms. Too exposed. The storm turned their location into a trap. Colonel Gantz stood at the mission board, arms crossed, jaw tight. Comms tried again. Nothing. Flight control had already grounded all aircraft. The base's northern runway had iced over by 0615. The backup wasn't faring better. No jets moved unless cleared by command, and nobody cleared flights in zero visibility. A young specialist airman second class stood at the corner monitor, scanning multiple feeds. He paused, leaned closer to his screen, then looked toward Gantz. There was a flicker of hesitation. Then he spoke. "Sir, I think that's Ryder Hale." No one answered. Outside, the sky cracked open. A roar, 4 FA-18s on patrol, returning to base. Engines pushed hard to hold formation through wind shear. Their afterburners lit the low ceiling of cloud, thunder bouncing off the valley ridge. The woman didn't flinch. Her chin lifted slightly. Her eyes stayed locked on the fighters overhead. Ryder Hale had no uniform markers, no name tag, nothing identifying rank or unit. But the airman wasn't guessing. He remembered her from induction vids, from mission briefings, from a single image that used to hang on the south wing. Ryder Hale, flight helmet under one arm, standing beside a Ghost Hawk with call sign RH07 stenciled along the cockpit. She had vanished 3 years ago. Operation Black Vein. The file had been classified and then buried. Most assumed she'd been shot down or caught behind the line. No rescue, no wreckage. But standing outside in -22 wind chill was a woman the same height, same posture, same silence. A gust ripped across the field. She closed her eyes. The wind pulled at her hood, snapped it back. Her hair was shorter than the file photo, chin length, blunt cut. Her expression didn't change. To her left, a convoy of fuel trucks rumbled past. One of the drivers raised a brow, then looked away, too cold to ask questions, too late to care. The woman's gloved hand dropped slowly to her backpack. She didn't open it, just rested her palm there. Then her fingers moved across the side flap, brushing snow away. The fabric beneath revealed a stenciled number, hand-penned in faded ink. B6214. She looked up again. Bravo 6. No one heard her speak. But her lips moved. A single syllable. Maybe a name. maybe a warning. Inside, Gantz turned from the board. His voice dropped low. Have airspace monitored. No unauthorized launches. He moved toward the door, noticed the tech still staring at the feed. He asked him what he said earlier. Sir, if that's her, I think we're about to see something no one will believe. At 07:56, the storm intensified. Snow thickened into walls, and the woman outside the fence didn't move. By the time Ryder Hale turned 23, her file was already flagged top tier by Air Combat Command. First in her class at the academy, not by margin, by distance. Instructors said she never asked questions, just studied longer. She ran drills in the T-6 Texan II like she was rewriting the flight manual. Her debriefs were single-page, no self-praise, no excuses. She transitioned to F-16s inside 18 months, bypassed the usual queue. Her first sortie logged 7 enemy lock avoidances and 2 simulated splashes in under 9 minutes. Wingmen called it fluke. The second mission proved otherwise. She didn't speak much on comms, just enough. Precise calls, quiet tone, no repeat requests. Her squadron leader once logged a complaint Hale failed to verbally acknowledge a target confirmation. The review board watched the footage. She had already shifted course and neutralized before the order was fully transmitted. The complaint was retracted. Within a year, her file hit the right desks. She was pulled into Project Ghost. Off book. A joint development between USAF R&D and Special Tactics Command. Few knew the aircraft's name. X-21 Ghost Hawk. Less knew who flew it. Fewer survived long enough to report it. The platform was black composite. Delta wing. Vertical stabilizers flush. Fly-by-wire. No stealth coating, it didn't need one. It flew below radar curves. Below sound if necessary. The cockpit housed one. No co-pilot. No ejection. The only way out was through. Hale's designation became RH-07, call sign Ghostblade. She trained in Colorado, flew over Nevada, went dark in the Marianas. Then came Operation Driftline, a recon intercept over disputed terrain in the Eastern Peninsula. The objective was data acquisition. The risk was high-altitude interception. The Ghost Hawk didn't carry weapons, only intel pods. They said that's why she didn't make it back. Timeline 1842, last contact. No radar return, no satellite ping, no black box echo. Presumed KIA, notified via sealed channels. No funeral, Nasir. No service. Just a file closure. That was 3 years ago. At 08:05, the woman at the gate pulled something from her coat. The motion was slow, deliberate. A black lanyard. At the end, a weathered ID card. USAF. No visible clearance. Photo slightly askew. The surface was warped by time. The security NCO looked at it, frowned. No scanner pickup. Manual read required. Name Hale. Ryder. Rank Captain. Last valid scan. 36 months prior. Base Langley. Assignment redacted. He handed it back. Ma'am, this expired 3 years ago. She didn't answer. Just asked, where is Bravo 6? He hesitated. There was no listed location on his screen. She asked again. Quieter. No emotion. They're in the field. Somewhere near Victor 7. That's all he said before turning to help a corporal unload comm gear from the Jeep. She didn't follow. Didn't argue. She stepped back outside the guardhouse, walked 10 feet, and sat on the bench facing the outer fence. She placed the backpack beside her and folded her hands in her lap. Snow landed on her shoulders. Accumulated. She didn't brush it off. From inside the guardhouse, the corporal muttered that she looked like someone waiting for a bus that wasn't coming. At 08:12, another wave of aircraft was scheduled for de-icing. They remained grounded. Weather reports were static. Gusts peaking past 40 knots. Snow visibility under 80 feet. The northern hangar had locked down. Command had rerouted patrols west. The eastern zone was unprotected. Inside the ops center, Lieutenant Tavares pulled up a personnel archive. He didn't search for Hale by name. He used the flight log identifier RH07. The system returned nothing. Wiped. Tavares searched archived logs, found a single training flight over Fort Irwin, logged under Ghost Blade. No comms, no debrief, no incident report. He cross-referenced external intelligence flags, redacted, black cell authorization required, higher than base access. He walked over to Colonel Gantz. There's someone outside. Said she flew Ghost Hawk. Said she's here for Bravo 6. Gantz didn't respond immediately. He asked, what name? Tavares hesitated. Hale. Ryder Hale. Gantz blinked once, then again turned to the main console. Pull me thermal on the main gate. The feed appeared, the bench, the fence, the woman. She hadn't moved. Tavares asked, you know her? Gantz said nothing, just stared. The snow continued to fall. Around 08:19, visibility dropped below 50 feet. The weather alert shifted from advisory to critical. On the feed, the woman reached into her pack again, not hurried, not hesitant. She pulled out a tactical watch, dusty green, scratched glass, metal clasp dulled by corrosion. She adjusted it, checked the time, 08:21, slid her glove back on, let the watch sit above her wrist, visible. Then she sat back, chin tilted up, scanned the horizon, still motionless, still waiting. No explanation, no conversation, no fear, only presence. No one recognized her face, but her presence unsettled them. They didn't understand why. Not yet. At 08:24, she opened the canvas pack. The zipper snagged once, caught on a frayed inner seam. She adjusted with gloved fingers and drew out a hard-shell handset the color of sand. No branding, no insignia. Antenna folded flush to the body. Military surplus. Late model SATCOM. Type 189 with analog fallback. Obsolete by current standards. Too old to matter. Too rare to ignore. She powered it on. The screen flickered once. Dim green glow under the protective screen cover. She entered a 6-digit code, paused, then keyed 2 more. Her thumb pressed and held the side button. The device emitted one faint, ultrasonic pulse. That was all. Inside the Harlan Ridge Command and Control Bunker, every workstation was manned. Situation Room 4 operated under red flag conditions. The Bravo 6 team had not re-established signal. Weather denied drone recon. Tactical response was frozen by visibility metrics. At 08:25 without warning, radar console Charlie 4 lit up with a return ping. Not an aircraft. A signal, encrypted. Pulse frequency, 76.2 MHz. Format, tactical wave burst echo. Not standard, not legacy. Deleted from system use. The operator glanced at the waveform signature. One line, one tag, origin RH07. He stopped moving, shifted forward in his chair, touched the screen, reconfirmed. Not a ghost ping. Not a test beacon. A full encrypted authentication code. The name populated from archival memory only because it had been force-logged once by a field trainer 3 years earlier. Ryder Hale. The terminal beeped again. The ping repeated. The signal was not looping. It was active. The operator called across to his supervisor. No urgency in his voice. Just protocol. Sir, we have an unauthorized signal broadcast from the north perimeter. Colonel Gantz, who had been speaking with Operations Intel, paused, looked toward the main screen. Location: 30 meters outside Gate 3. By 08:27, 3 systems had flagged the identifier, all under separate clearance chains. Communications techs froze. None spoke. One reached for the master override key. Gantz stopped him. Bring up external feed. Gate 3. The monitor flipped to infrared. Snow obscured definition, but the outline was clear. One thermal signature. Seated. Still. He walked to the screen. Pointed. Zoom. 10%. The image sharpened. The woman had not moved. The SATCOM device rested in her lap, her hand still holding it upright. In the back of the room, a senior radar officer reviewed the incoming packet. He held a background in black programs. His eyes didn't blink as he reviewed the transmission header. Sir, the code is a valid RH prefix, assigned to experimental air wing ghost wing detachment. All identifiers scrubbed from registry in 22. That's not possible. No one responded. The air handler kicked louder, trying to compensate for the temperature drop outside. Gantz stared at the screen. Patch me audio. The tech nodded, switched channels. A small speaker beside the main console came alive with static. Then one voice, female, low, neutral. This is RH-07, Tactical Echo Relay. I am at your perimeter. Your team is still alive. You need to let me in. No emphasis, no emotion, just fact. The comms officer turned to Gantz. We don't have this call sign on any active list. You do now, Gantz said. Then he walked toward the ready room, his steps silent. Behind him, no one spoke. No one moved. Only the screen remained, showing a woman sitting motionless in a storm. A signal live, a name thought erased, a ghost knocking at the gate. At 0829, Colonel Monroe stepped into the corridor. He didn't speak, didn't ask questions. He moved with the certainty of someone who had already decided. The ID RH-07 hadn't crossed his desk in 3 years. And yet, it never left the corner of his mind. Some signals linger. He exited the command wing, took the west access stair down to surface level. Snow hit the windshield of the base jeep in fat, wet chunks as the vehicle cut through the wind. The driver didn't speak. Monroe didn't acknowledge him. They reached Gate 3 in 98 seconds. The gatehouse lights flickered under ice buildup. The perimeter fence stood rigid in the storm, coils of razor wire topped in frost. Beyond it, on the public side of the checkpoint, the woman was still seated, not hunched, not cold, still. Monroe stepped out. His boots sank an inch into packed snow. He pulled his coat closed, adjusted the collar, and walked the remaining 15 feet alone. No escort, no announcement. The gate opened with a hydraulic hiss. Minimal sound. The metal frame stopped halfway. He crossed through. She looked up. Her eyes were level, steady, not searching, not wary. The kind of look that belonged to someone who had once been in charge of things that didn't exist on paper. She hadn't aged. Not really. The lines at the corners of her mouth were familiar. Her posture hadn't changed. Monroe stopped 3 feet from her. He didn't salute. She didn't stand. He looked down. You disappeared. She didn't answer. He nodded once, looked at her pack, saw the device resting on top. You sent the ping. Yes. It's a classified call sign. It still works. He waited. Wind caught the edge of her hood and folded it back again. He asked her one question. Bravo, 6. Are they still out there? She didn't blink. They're alive. You'll lose them if you wait another hour. Monroe exhaled through his nose. A short breath. No decision was made in that moment. It had already been made. He turned to the gate, waved once to the guard. Let her through. No one asked for credentials. No one demanded clearance. No one recited regulation. She stood. The movement was exact, like a drill performed after years in the dark. She stepped past Monroe without a word. As she passed, he said nothing. He only turned back to watch her enter the base like she'd never left. At 0842, the door to command operations opened. Ryder Hale walked in without hesitation. No one called her name. No one had to. She moved like she'd been there yesterday. The room hushed. Colonel Monroe entered behind her and said nothing. Ryder stepped to the main table, where a satellite overlay flickered. The topographic feed displayed terrain around grid Victor 7, most of it red, storm patterns stacked over the canyon like sediment. Wind overlays showed compression layers twisting against elevation lines. She reached forward, tapped 3 keys. The map shifted. A sublayer activated thermal elevation matched to route speed. She adjusted the wind vector manually. 0 hesitation. Then she expanded the radius and overlaid known enemy zones based on last intercept. Still silent. A captain near the back watched her hands move. He didn't blink. She'd just done in 20 seconds what their planning team had failed to build in half an hour. She reoriented the map, marked an entry corridor on the northern slope, and rotated the angle to match current visibility. Then she drew a shallow arc across the eastern ridge, labeled it manually with her finger. 12-minute exposure, 3-minute approach. She stepped back. That was it. The room held its breath. Monroe stepped forward. He didn't ask for a brief. He didn't call a council. He reached for the console, keyed in his command code. The system acknowledged. Clearance granted. He turned to her. She didn't flinch. "I need 3, she said. "No assignments. Volunteers only." She didn't look around. She didn't need to. Not yet. That came next. The map stayed on screen. A corridor cut through a storm, lined by numbers that weren't guesses. It was a path drawn by someone who had done it before, more than once. Command presence didn't need approval. She had already taken control. The room just hadn't realized it until now. At 08:45, no one spoke. The map still glowed on the central display. The approach vectors marked in orange, wind drift in gray. Ryder Hale stood off to the side, hands behind her back, watching no one in particular. Then a voice. Low. Even. Captain Thorne. Flight lead. 8th Squadron. Retired recall status. He stepped forward, gray along the temples, uniform crisp, but the creases spoke of old habits. He didn't look at the map. He looked at her. "I flew with you. Kandahar. You don't forget that kind of flying." He nodded once. That was enough. Second came a younger man, Lieutenant Callan. No swagger, just forward motion and silence. His eyes held something else. Memory, maybe. From tapes. From stories. They said you flew through a monsoon in training. No instruments, no visuals, just throttle and instinct. Ryder didn't answer. Didn't need to. He joined Thorne. The third didn't speak at first. Sergeant Ramos, flight mechanic, certified combat rated, had deployed but never as aircrew. He stood quiet, watched her. "If you're flying, I'm in the air. I'll sit right seat. I'll shut up and follow." Ryder met his eyes, held there. A beat passed. Then she turned toward the hangar. They followed. At 08:52, the doors parted. The cold moved in like a wave. The FA-18s sat covered in frost, canopies opaque, stabilizers locked tight. Ground crews moved in pairs, pushing glycol sprayers, brushing wing surfaces with practiced rhythm. None of them asked questions. Ryder walked to her assigned bird, FA-18F, 2-seater. Call sign faded on the side panel. The paint had chipped under salt and wear. She stepped to the fuselage, pressed her palm flat just beneath the cockpit. Thumb traced the serial code etched along the rivet line. She didn't speak. She just looked at it like something remembered. A tech approached, nervous but respectful. "That jet's been cold for 3 cycles. Avionics haven't been updated. We can..." She cut him off gently, eyes still on the plane. "She'll fly." The tech hesitated, looked at the engine intake, back at her, nodded once, walked away. Ryder climbed the ladder. Her steps were automatic, muscle memory in every motion. Her boots hit the cockpit floor. She settled into the left seat. Fingers moved fast. Power up. Avionics check. HUD flicker. Slow rise. No doubt. Outside. The others prepped their birds. Crews moved faster now. De-icing completed. Fuel confirmed. Weapon mounts double-checked. Conditions held just above marginal. Monroe entered the hangar at 08:58. He didn't ask for reports. He just stood near the door and watched her complete pre-flight. She pulled on her gloves. Helmet clicked into place. Visor stayed up. One glance at the map, HUD. One blink. Then she gave a single nod. 3 pilots followed her into the storm. Not because of what she said. Because of how she moved. Because of what they knew. Because some leaders don't return for orders. They return when they're needed. And expect others to follow. At 09:03, the first canopy locked down. Ryder adjusted her harness, set the oxygen mask to standby, and scanned the left side MFD. HUD was slow to stabilize. Snow disrupted the signal. She let it flicker, then tapped it once with her knuckle. Green lines snapped into place. Fuel was full, armament clean, weather red across every screen. She keyed the short-range channel. Viper formation, report ready. 3 clicks followed. No words. Ground crew signaled. Wheel chocks clear. Brake release armed. She pushed the throttle to idle. Jet engines whined, stabilized. She lifted the nose wheel slightly, aligned with runway 1-5. The tarmac ahead looked like milk glass. Wind pushed left to right. Gust shear peaked at 38 knots. Visibility less than 100 feet. She called it. Viper 1 rolling. Throttle up. Burner engaged. The FA-18 shook once, then surged forward. Tires hissed over ice. Her left hand rode the stick. Right adjusted trim by feel. Airspeed crept toward takeoff threshold. At 135 knots, she pulled. Gear up. The aircraft lifted into white, instantly consumed. No horizon. No up. No down. HUD showed climbing angle, but her eyes stayed on the corner of the windshield where frost shaped differently as pitch changed. Rudder corrections, micro inputs, instinct. She called back. Viper 2. Rotate now. Viper 3. 3-second hold. 4. Stagger left. The channel crackled. Affirmatives. Clipped. Behind her. 3 fighters lifted one by one. Vapor trails vanished behind them in seconds. Climb rate adjusted manually. Radar unreliable. Too much interference, but they followed waypoint bearings fed to the INS. She didn't need it. Left hand eased back 2 degrees, nose down slightly. She felt the push of wind on her right side. Small chop. Updraft at 14,000 feet. Course correction. 10 degrees west. She didn't ask. Just gave it. Viper 2. Adjust 10 west. Confirm lift. Roger. Adjusted. You seeing anything negative? Feeling everything. The formation spread in a combat offset. Staggered. She led. Inside her cockpit. The readouts were stable. Her fingers tapped the throttle once. Small habit. Rhythm. Radar cross-section was clean. No returns yet. They were running dark. Weapons cold. Navigation passive. The storm fought them every second. But she didn't resist it. She moved with it. Rode the surge. Nudged each wing response like steering a current. Viper 3 called in. Storms got us blind. How are you reading these vectors? She gave the only answer that mattered. I'm not reading them. So, how I feel it. Nothing more. At 09:11, they broke the 20-mile barrier from Bravo 6's last ping. Time to intercept 9 minutes. Formation held. 4 jets, 1 path, 1 voice. The sky didn't welcome them, but it moved for her. At 09:15, the threat radar lit up. 6 contacts. South-southwest. Low and fast. Closing angle. 32 degrees. Not friendlies. Ryder didn't react. She dropped to 18,000 feet, angled left, and keyed the channel. Viper hold formation. Weapons hot. Thorn locked in. Copy lead. Ramos armed stations. Confirmed, Callan whispered. Visuals negative. Ryder didn't need them. Bandits converging. Staggered V. Intercepts. Not recon. She vectored right 10 degrees. Put the sun at their 6. Partial cover from storm drag. Visuals opened through a pocket in the cloud wall. Targets confirmed. Twin-engine interceptors. High-speed turn rate. No long-range missiles. Guns and heat seekers. Fast but blind in snow. She broke. Roll left. Invert. Drop 20 degrees nose. Dive speed 420 knots. The FA-18 moved like it remembered her hands. Viper 2 brake left. 3 lag high. 4 cover north side. Calls echoed back. 1 clipped. 1 gritted. 1 whispered. The first bandit overshot. Ryder banked hard. Arced behind him. Quick burst. 20 mm cannon. 1 second. Shells cut through his left engine. Flame. Drop. Splash 1. No celebration. Viper 3 on your 6. Called Callan. Copy. Hard roll right. Pull vertical. Altitude gain. 60 degrees climb. Enemy locked onto Callan's tail. Viper 3 flare and roll. Now. Callan popped flares. Broke right. Not enough. Ryder cut across the line. Dove from above. Closed to 400 feet. Lined up shot. No hesitation. Pulse burst. Enemy peeled. Smoke trail. Nose down. Hit terrain. Viper 3 breathing, he said. You just eyes forward. She didn't let the speed slip. Thorne called in. 2 on me. Need separation. Vector 180. Drop throttle. Pull G turn left. Copy. Executing. Enemy 1 passed him. The second followed. Thorne dumped flares. Ryder took the open path. Flanked low. Gun ready. 3-round burst. Clean. Target stalled. Wing sheared. Gone. 3 left. They regrouped, but too late. Ryder led a full loop. Reoriented behind last contact. Viper 4 joined right wing. They boxed him in. Shot coordinated. Splash. Last 2 saw the shift. Broke pattern. Tried to run. Denied. Ryder switched comm. Fox 3. High arc. Missile off rail. Tracked hot engine. Locked. Hit. 1 left. Ryder climbed to 25,000. Slowed. Waited. The last turned. She rotated over the top, dropped behind, fired once. No noise. Just silence where sound should be. Target gone. All 6 neutralized. No cheers. Viper to base. Airspace clear. Proceed with extraction. At Aero 923 she leveled off, checked spacing. 3 shadows followed her in the clouds. Formation tight. Movement smooth. Ryder didn't look back. She didn't need to. She'd flown the sky like it was hers, because it was. At 0938 the first rotor washed over the canyon basin. 3 HH-60 Pave Hawks dropped into the clear. Snow swirled, kicked into spirals. Bravo 6 was waiting, huddled under camo netting, weapons down, faces turned upward. 24 men and women, cold, exhausted, alive. Extraction took 7 minutes. No injuries beyond frostbite, no missing gear, no fatalities. They loaded without speaking. Above them, 4 FA-18Fs circled in a wide overwatch pattern. No passes, no flares. Just presence. At 0947 the Vipers turned home. The sky didn't clear. It just softened. Visibility grew to half a mile. Wind dropped to 30 knots. Snow lost its edge. At 10:03 Ryder made final approach. Runway 15 was iced but stable. She set her vector. Throttle, low. Her hands didn't move fast. They didn't need to. The aircraft responded as if weightless. Main gear touched first. Nose wheel followed. A perfect line. No correction. Brakes engaged. She rolled out clean. No tower instructions. No ground chatter. The system knew who she was now. She taxied to Bay 6. Throttle to idle. Systems powered down. The canopy lifted. She sat for 3 seconds. Still. Then removed her helmet, unfastened the harness, and climbed out. Her boots hit the tarmac. Snow whispered beneath them. Wind moved the ends of her hair, damp with sweat, not storm. Monroe stood 20 feet off. He didn't salute. She didn't report. She walked to him, eyes steady, shoulders level. Her face held nothing. Not fatigue, not triumph, just clarity. He looked past her. 3 more jets were lining up on approach. The others had made it. She stopped 2 paces from him. Everyone lived. That was all she said. He nodded. She turned. Mechanics stood near the hangar doors. Not clapping, not smiling, just watching. They'd seen landings. Hundreds. Thousands. But not like that. Not in this. A young airman, wrench in one hand, goggles pushed to his forehead, stared at her like she wasn't real. She passed without looking, crossed to her aircraft's nose, rested her gloved hand against the panel. No words, just pressure. Then she walked away. No bags, no gear, just the clothes she'd arrived in. The air behind her shifted. No footprints stayed long in that snow. She didn't ask for debrief, didn't request quarters, didn't file a mission summary. At 10:18, the doors of the operations building closed behind her. No ceremony, only silence, and eyes that would remember. At 04:12 the next morning, the gate log recorded her departure. No escort, no transport, just a notation. Civilian exit. Unaccompanied. Weather was clear. Cold held. Stars visible above the ridgeline. She walked out the same way she had arrived. No destination listed. No inquiries filed. The security feed caught the frame, her silhouette crossing the outer line. Wind tugging at the hem of her jacket. She didn't look back. By 0600, her aircraft had been towed into the main hangar. Maintenance tags attached. Fuel drained. Systems idle. A single photo was taken by one of the junior mechanics before sunrise. It showed her standing beside the FA-18 helmet in hand. Snow flurries caught in motion, her face still unreadable. That photo was printed. No edits. No caption beyond a short line added later in black stencil. She brought the sky back. They mounted it in the east hallway, between flight readiness and mission prep. People noticed it without being told. Pilots passed it without slowing. Crew chiefs stopped once, then never needed to again. No plaque, no ceremony, just presence. Permanent. Monroe kept her helmet. He didn't explain why. It sat on a shelf behind his desk. No dust. No scratches. He didn't speak of her in meetings. But when cadets lost rhythm, when confidence cracked mid-cycle, he would turn, point to the helmet, and say only, "She flew into the white, and she came back." That was enough. Flight school unofficially adopted a new line. It appeared first as chalk on the gym wall, then on a clipboard in ops. Eventually, someone had it painted above the ready room doors. When the sky calls, we answer. No one claimed credit. Everyone understood. Months passed. The photo never faded. Recruits asked about the woman in the parka. The instructors didn't elaborate. Some called her Skyblade. Some didn't name her at all. They just pointed to the picture, told them to pay attention, to how she stood, to the jet behind her, to the way she didn't smile. There was no biography, no citations. The mission didn't enter official logs, but the airfield was different now. Crews ran tighter, pilots sharper. The silence that had followed her never lifted. It settled, became part of the routine. Every so often, someone would swear they saw her again. In town, near the ridge. Just a shadow. No confirmation. It didn't matter. The sky had called once. And someone had answered. Without speech, without recognition, only action, and then disappeared. The ones who understood didn't look for more. They just flew.